Welcome to Freethought Matters. I'm Laurie Gaylor.
And I'm Dan Barker. We're co-presidents of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, which produces this show. Our guest today is the non-religious actor and filmmaker, Jon Huertas, whom you've seen on ABC's Castle and NBC's This Is Us.
The Freedom from Religion Foundation, which produces Freethought Matters, is the nation's largest association of free thinkers. That's atheists, agnostics, and other non-believers. We invite you to join us in our vital work to keep our secular government free from religious influence. Become a member at FFRF.org or ask for a complimentary copy of our newspaper, Freethought Today. Freedom depends on freethinkers. Watch prior episodes of Freethought Matters on FFRF's YouTube channel.
For the past 6 seasons, our guest, the actor Jon Huertas, has starred as Miguel Rivas on NBC's critically acclaimed award-winning series, This Is Us. Audiences also know him as the tough but affable detective Javier Esposito on ABC's hit dramedy Castle. He gave a standout performance as Sergeant Tony Polk Espera in the HBO miniseries Generation Kill, which Jon calls the most meaningful role of his career because he's a veteran himself. He served for 8 years in the Air Force and has been on the SAG Armed Forces Support Task Force and other groups serving soldiers returning home.
And in addition to his 27-year acting career, Jon Huertas is a filmmaker. He's formed a production company in development. And as a special treat, we will also be showing a short recording of Jon Huertas' meaningful remarks at a Secular Day of the Dead event.
And as you guessed, if you watch our show regularly, Jon Huertas is not religious. So thank you so much, Jon, for coming on our irreverent program. Podemos decir hola y gracias por estar con nosotros.
Oh, gracias. Thank you for having me, guys.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we know you're really busy today. First, we have to ask a fan question. We saw that viral video of the This Is Us cast dancing. And was it always that much fun working as an actor and working with that cast?
This cast is special. We are like a family. And we love to, in between scenes, we know that we make people cry when they watch the show, but we laugh as much as people cry when we make the show. We laugh between every setup, between every scene. And we just love to have fun, just like any other family does. And we were shooting a wedding episode, and we thought, well, we're not going to probably have a real reception, so let's have our own while we're taking a break between setups. And we love to do the dance challenges for social media. It's just a lot of fun. We like to see fan reactions, and hopefully people love it and laugh, dance with us.
That dynamic that you have there is just so authentic, and it's infectious. I think it makes the show really work when you see that kind of camaraderie.
So I guess we missed this reveal, this big show. Yesterday you're doing a lot of media about this show that was really about Miguel, your character. So what's it like?
Yeah, the episode's called Miguel, and it's we're in the last season of our show. We always knew we were going to do 6 seasons. And so, characters have aged, and I go from age 25 to well into my 80s on the show. And so, we're at the end we use special effects, makeup to age me up. And I try to, do the older version of myself. Hopefully it works. But
we hardly recognized you there. That looked like your father or something.
Right. Exactly. It was a big episode. And Miguel, after last night's episode, is no longer with us. And so we kind of, we showed that journey, but we also showed Miguel's journey from being a small kid, 8 years old in Puerto Rico, who was then taken away from this island that he knew was his home and brought to the mainland because his father was looking for better opportunity. And it changed his life. It upended his life as he knew it as an 8-year-old, and how that affected him. And we then learned why Miguel was the type of character that he was in his later years. We saw what shaped him, if you will. It was a big episode, and it was like my character throughout the entire episode. We didn't see as much of the other characters that we usually see in that episode.
So talking about your own personal life, I understand that you signed up for the Air Force basically to pay for your theater degree. And so, of course, there are atheists in the proverbial foxhole. We all know that, aren't there? But what do you call yourself? Do you prefer atheist or agnostic or some other word for your free-thinking views?
Nontheist or humanist is usually what I call myself. I kind of feel that, religion gives people an out, so they don't take responsibility for the good that they do in their lives to cause good in their lives, or when something, not so good happens in their lives, that they can blame it on something else other than maybe their own actions or just, chance. I like to feel that humans, we are better than we give ourselves credit for. We have it in us to solve world hunger, to keep the planet from destroying itself. We can stop our encroachment into wildlands, creating less diversity in our ecosystem when it comes to animals. There are things that we could do as humans that have nothing to do with an imaginary friend that I believe we should start giving ourselves more credit for. So that's why I lean into humanist a lot with what I call myself. It's just easier when you say non-theist. I think a lot of people, because, not everybody is educated. Not everybody knows that the word theism even exists, especially, a lot of religious people don't know what the word theism means. And so if you say non-theist or atheist, they don't understand. When I was in Catholic school as a little kid, I was literally taught that the word atheist meant devil worshiper, Satanist. And it wasn't. It just meant that, someone who is the opposite of a theist, someone who believes in theism. So, and it took me, years before I actually knew the proper definition of that word. But I think because that word can seem sometimes controversial, because there are so many people that maybe see the word with that meaning behind it, that you are not because you're an atheist, you don't believe in God, you maybe believe in Satan or something. For me, it's better not to use it personally, because as soon as I use it, it might turn someone off to a conversation we might be able to have about our beliefs. It doesn't have to be contentious. If someone wants to have an imaginary friend and I get them through life, I have to, because of the country we live in, I have to allow them to do that. And so, but I'd love to have a conversation about it, certain things with that person without it getting contentious, weird, or whatever.
Mm.
You also call yourself a Black-tino. What do you mean by that?
That's actually a television show I'm developing. That's the title of it.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I say Black-tino. I usually say that one in jest, but I am an Afro-Latino. And Afro-Latino is, a lot of people don't realize that 90% of all Africans that were brought to the New World during the slave trade were taken to the Caribbean, Mexico, Central America, and South America. Only 10% ended up in, North America. And so there are a lot of Africans that are threaded throughout the Latino community, especially in the Caribbean islands, Puerto Rico, where my family's from, Dominican Republic. In Mexico, they just changed the laws there. I think it was about 5 years ago, where in their national census, you could actually indicate that you were Afro-Latino. A lot of people on the east coast of Mexico, there are, I think, about 1.5 million people in Mexico that now identify as Afro-Latino, which is a demographic, a diaspora that a lot of people have overlooked to include Latinos. I mean, there's colorism everywhere, and even in our culture. So, I've had my DNA profile done. So from 23andMe and Ancestry DNA. So I know what kind of blood I have in me. And I think it makes me and who I am and my makeup richer than someone who's specifically Anglo or specifically anything else. I think that being an Afro-Latino creates, a personality that is made up of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, or three continents actually coming together in this whole area. So this is perfect then.
Absolutely.
Miguel, the character that you played, is Puerto Rican, and you're Puerto Rican, so that was a perfect match then, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, when I was cast on the show, the character's name was Mike, and we didn't know where he was from. And so when I was cast, when I was cast, I went into the meeting when they were looking for this character, Mike, and it was me, and then about 8 white guys with salt and hair, and I was the only guy who looked like me in the room. I was the only person of color that that was in the waiting room, and then they picked me, which I'm so grateful for, and then I was able to collaborate with the writers, and we created Miguel, and we designed Miguel, and we gave Miguel his background based on my background. So that he's become who he is because of an incredible collaboration between myself, the writers, any directors we've had, and the incredible cast that I work with.
So we've heard a rumor that you were an altar boy, and I'm wondering, how old were you when you left religion, and what were your doubts?
My doubts started at a very early age. I think I've always kind of operated from a place of logic and reason. So whenever I would, be at Mass as an altar boy, and I would I would watch the ceremony of what a Catholic Mass looks like, and it would boggle my mind. What are we doing? What is this? And then, when you listen, like for me, coming from from science and logic, and I hear a sermon, whether it's Catholic or, and because I've also dabbled in Christianity as well, it's like someone's reading aloud from a Harry Potter book or any other fantastical book. It's all sounds like fantasy to me. And so my departure was at a very young age. As a Catholic, I didn't do confirmation because I was already a non-believer. But as an altar boy, you got all these privileges. So I would take advantage of that. Go and be able to leave class to go count how many kids needed to take communion at Mass. And I would, then go count out the wafers, put about half of them in my pocket so I could go back to class. But, I was never really much of a believer. I never really believed in the idea that we come from a supernatural kind of creative idea. At a young age. I mean, probably if I were to try to pinpoint the age, I would say it was like around 8.
Wow.
8, I wasn't really feeling it. But then, there are people that make great arguments at times. And also there are other reasons. And when I tried Christianity for the first time, I was a kid, 17 years old, with hormones raging, and loved women. And I worked at Sears in the hardware department. And there was a new girl who was super, super cute in the ladies department. So I hopped over my kiosk and went to go say hi. And she asked me if I was Christian. I said, yeah, I'm Catholic. Even though I wasn't really, but I said, yeah, I'm Catholic. She was like, oh, you're not a Christian. Catholics aren't Christian. So then we had a little bit of an argument, a little bit of a tete-a-tete. And then she explained to me why Catholics weren't Christians, which I didn't buy at first, but she was so cute. So I would listen to her and talk. And then I met her husband. Oh, well. But then they would invite me over to their house for dinner, and they would feed me amazing food. And it was, we'd have conversation, and they were fun. And then they talked me into asking Jesus to come into my heart and save me. And I started believing all this stuff. And then her husband goes out of town on a religious retreat. And I was then invited over for dinner on a Friday, thinking I was going to see both of them. She was the only one there. And then she tried to get on me, tried to jump on me. And at that point, I fancy myself a true Christian who's asked Jesus to save me. And now this woman who brought me into this world is trying to have sex with me. Again, I was 17. She was 20, 22, 23, something like that. So she shouldn't have been having sex with me because she's married and Christian and I'm underage.
Well, so much for
So
Christian morality.
Exactly. So I saw behind the curtain. There's the wizard. You're not real. So I left at that point, and then later on in life, there was a whole nother thing where I was going through a string of bad luck, and was like, you know, my human brain, which our brains are, you know, we're flawed as humans. So I thought, well, maybe it's because I don't have Jesus in my life. I'm having all this bad luck. Let me go check it out again. But I didn't call myself a Christian. They called me a seeker, and I was going to this church. And it was, you know, 2/3 of the sermon was just rock music. So they get people all like excited and playing great music, and people are singing along. And then pastor would come out, read from Harry Potter again, and then would, you know, then talk about the gay contingency in the church and say, yeah, we welcome everybody, but you know you're going to go to hell unless you stop what you're doing. Like that kind of just really, you know, blew my mind. So that was about a 2-month span of looking at all the, you know, I was single going through I'd just gone through a breakup. So there was gorgeous ladies at this church. It certainly was about, I'm going to find my next girlfriend here. That's what it ended up being about.
So
you gave religion a try, but it failed.
But welcome back. Hey, we have to take a break, Jon. After the break, you said you were an altar boy, but now we're going to watch something after the break, a ritual that is humanistic that you performed and that you gave for the secular Day of the Dead. We'll be right back in just a couple of minutes.
Hi, I'm Ron Reagan, an unabashed atheist.
When I first recorded that commercial back in 2014, being openly atheist in America was still fairly uncommon. Today, the fastest growing religious group in the country is the non-religious, especially among the young. That progress is heartening, but the religious pushback is fierce and the forces of Christian nationalism are well organized. Our progress won't continue unless we work together so that reason and our secular constitution will prevail. That's why I'm asking you to join the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the nation's largest and most effective association of atheists and agnostics working to keep state and church separate, just like our founders intended. Please join the Freedom from Religion Foundation today. Ron Reagan, lifelong atheist, not afraid of burning in hell.
I'm Doug Hinahara, and I'm an out-of-the-closet atheist. I consider myself fortunate in that I wasn't raised in an overly religious family, so I was allowed to think for myself. And around the time I was 17, as I was exploring these ideas of religion, I was told by a fundamentalist Christian that my grandmother, who had emigrated from Japan, was destined to eternal damnation because she was a Buddhist. And I couldn't accept that, and it kind of unraveled from there for me. So at this point in my life, I've become very comfortable with the idea that I don't need religion or belief in God to be a moral person and live an ethical life. I'm proud of the fact that I have 2 daughters who have grown up to be wonderful young women, and I'm proud to say also atheist.
We're back with Freethought Matters, and we're continuing our conversation with the actor Jon Huertas. You've seen him on This Is Us, you've seen him on Castle and many other shows. And before we continue our talk with Jon, let's look at a clip that he did for a secular ritual for the El Día de los Muertos Seculares, the secular Day of the Dead.
Now, I would like to personally welcome everyone to Día de los Muertos Seculares, or the secular Day of the Dead. Now, being a non-theist and a humanist myself, this is by far my favorite day of celebration because, to me, Día de los Muertos has always seemed like a pretty damn secular holiday. Traditionally, it's always been the way that we've ensured that our dead weren't assaulted by sadness and by our mourning. And instead, it's always existed to celebrate the living lives of the dead. And we do that with great food, drinks, parties like the one we're having right now, everything that the dead enjoyed while they were alive. So Día de los Muertos, just like me, has always recognized that death is a natural part of life. So if we celebrate their living lives, that is also for us to recognize that we have to live our best lives right now. today while we're alive. Not that if we are good, that we will somehow be rewarded in a heaven. Our reward is here. It's now. It's knowing that I have always tried to do the right thing without having to check in with my imaginary friend. Knowing that when I die, that I have lived a life of goodness so that hopefully someone will celebrate me on a Dia de los Muertos in the future world. The future world where, I don't know, all humans embrace tolerance. They have an openness to others, and where we actually use science and critical thinking as a means of always discovering the truth. And celebrations like the ones we're having today, they excite me because it brings like-minded people like us together so that we can stay united in our goals to actively keep promoting a strict separation between political authority and religious authority. I'm talking about a real separation of church and state. We have an election coming up, and we all know how the political weaponization of evangelical belief has tainted the process and tainted politics. So, guys, make sure you vote if you haven't already, and stay vigilant in the fight. Also, today is a reminder that we don't need a reason of why we exist. We just need a reason to live. Reasons like, I don't know, free will, equality, love, solidarity, respect of human dignity. Those are all amazing reasons for living, but they're also the essential values of secularism, non-theism, and humanism. So be kind and be good, not for some kind of afterlife, but just because it feels pretty damn good to treat people like that in this life.
Very powerful, Jon.
Amen, yeah.
And
almost like a sermon.
so in your family, I mean, Secular Day of the Dead is Mexican, but did your family ever participate in any of that? Is that Puerto Rico get involved in that at all?
No, not really. No, but yeah, I mean, I think that it's very important. We do it, being in California, we're surrounded by a lot of people that do participate in the Day of the Dead. So, you know, I look at it as it's very much like Halloween. I mean, it's you're putting, you know, a lot of people use the sugar skull, you know, makeup on their faces to honor their dead. But, you know, it's to me, again, like if it's anything to celebrate something that comes from a religious belief is something that I think that we have to fight. Like, you know, like Christmas, for example, you know, if there was a Jesus, some people, historians say that there was actually a man. He wasn't born on December 25th. Humphrey Bogart was. So let's celebrate Humphrey Bogart, one of our greatest actors, on December 25th. So that's what I do. Me and my wife, we actually, you know, wish people a Merry Bogartmas.
Or, so, yeah, you know, it's from like, the winter solstice.
And we should do that. Which is
a natural event. So
that's why, exactly. But that's what I like about, you know, the idea behind the Secular Day of the Dead is that we've got these traditional holidays that, you know, a lot of them that are inspired by religious beliefs. But us as secularists, as humanists, as non-theists, we can have more fun with it and take those holidays and actually celebrate them without having contempt for them because they come from this other place. We can actually take them and own them and say, no, we're gonna celebrate as well. We're gonna celebrate it this way with our beliefs.
Celebrate the natural parts of these holidays. So I wonder, is your family, you know, your parents or siblings, are they still Catholic? Are you the black sheep of your family? Or, you know, is it controversial that you're not religious?
It's hard to say. I mean, I know my sister for a while, who I don't really think that she grew up Catholic. I don't think she ever went to a Catholic school. And I know my brother didn't. No, my sister didn't go to one either. So they didn't know. I was the only kid that was in a Catholic school. Also, I didn't really grow up with my brother and sister. I grew up with grandparents. But no, yeah, nobody in my family is grew up like going to church every week. My sister ended up going into Christianity for a while. I'm not sure where she sits with that. I know she had some issues and problems with her a church that she was in, which I think happens more often than not with people. I don't think that my brother, they probably, you know, I don't know how educated they are in theism, but I think they probably believe that there is a God, but we just don't even talk. We don't talk about things like that. So I don't even really know. And I don't have a big family. I only have a mom, a brother, and a sister, and my sister's kids and her husband. So it's not a very big family. So that when we do get together and talk, we don't talk religion because they know.
But you do have a family of colleagues and actors in the community.
Yeah.
Is being non-religious in Hollywood an issue? Does it come up? I mean, is it a problem? Or does that matter at all?
No, not really. Actually, it's quite the opposite usually. Some of the more extreme kind of religious people that we have in Hollywood sometimes get ostracized because they swing the bat too hard. You know what I mean? They're like, my values, my beliefs, and it doesn't align with, the movies that we're making or the television shows we're making. And then suddenly it feels like you're attacking the studios, and the studios are like, wait, hold on, man. And so there sometimes could be a rift there, and then they don't work that much anymore. I mean, we have classic cases like, what's his name from, his sister was on Full House.
Kurt Cameron, I think, is the guy you're talking about.
There you go, Kurt Cameron. I think one of the things about being a non-theist and I don't go and just like scream it off the rooftops, unlike a lot of Christians and religious people do, whether you're Muslim, Christian, Hindu, Catholic, whatever. Like, I don't scream it off the rooftops. People don't, if someone asks me, I'm like, no, I don't believe in a higher power. I don't believe in. I don't have an imaginary friend. I operate from a base of logic and reason. So I treat people good for goodness sake, not because I'm going to be rewarded in an afterlife.
That's a great line. Good for goodness sake.
Well, we can't wait to see you in Blacktino and whatever else you're going to be appearing in and developing. And we're really grateful to you, Jon Huertas, for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching Freethought Matters.
Because Freethought matters.
Hi, I'm Steve Pinker. In my book, Enlightenment Now, I show that the world has become a better place as reason has been overcoming superstition and tribalism. But the values of the Enlightenment are under attack. That's why I'm a proud member of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the nation's largest association of free thinkers working to keep state and church separate. Please join me in supporting the Freedom from Religion Foundation to ensure that our government is driven not by religion, but by reason.